Beloved, can you feel it? Deep within your spirit there has always been a stirring, a restlessness, a whisper that says, you were not made for the ordinary. You were chosen for something greater. Oh, I sense it even now. Some of you have been walking through seasons of trial and wondering why life feels so different, why the battles have been so intense, why the weight upon your shoulders has been so heavy. It is because heaven has placed a mark upon your life, a holy calling that cannot be shaken. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not abandoned. You are chosen. There are signs, my dear, that God has set you apart, and though the world may not understand you, though even friends and family may misinterpret you, there is a divine purpose woven into your very being. You may not see the fullness of it yet, but every tear, every delay, every door that has closed is working together to position you for what God has ordained. Oh, if only you could see what He has written over your life. Tonight, I tell you, there are signs that heaven has been preparing you, molding you, and setting you apart for a greater purpose than you ever imagined. Unusual trials and battles that prepare you for greater purpose are one of the clearest signs that God has set you apart for something extraordinary, because those who are chosen often refined in fires that others never face. When you belong to the Lord in such a way that heaven has marked you for a divine assignment, your journey will not look like the path of everyone else. The battles you face may feel heavier, the trials may seem unexplainable, and the weight you carry may appear unfair. But each of these difficulties is part of God's preparation process. He is shaping you, testing you, and molding you so that when the time comes to step into the greater purpose He has designed, you will not be weak or unprepared, but strong, seasoned, and unshakable. Many people desire greatness in God, but few are willing to walk through the valleys and storms required to prepare them for it. The chosen are often misunderstood because their battles appear disproportionate, while others seem to move through life with ease. You may find yourself facing constant challenges, unexpected setbacks, and seasons of struggle that seem endless. You might look around and wonder why those who care little for God appear to prosper, while your path feels littered with obstacles. But understand this. Your trials are not evidence of abandonment. They are evidence of calling. The enemy does not waste his weapons on those who pose no threat to his kingdom. He saves his fiercest attacks for those whom God has chosen to carry great authority and purpose. When you find yourself in unusual battles, take heart. It is often because you are carrying a destiny that requires extraordinary preparation. Unusual trials strip away what is unnecessary and build within you what is eternal. When you face hardship, you are forced to let go of self-reliance and learn to lean completely on God. Trials teach you to pray when you would otherwise remain silent, to persevere when you would otherwise give up, and to trust when circumstances make no sense. These lessons cannot be taught in comfort. They are only learned in the fire. God allows these trials not to break you but to strengthen you, so that when you reach your place of purpose, you will not crumble under the weight of responsibility. Every battle is building endurance, every storm is deepening your faith, and every tear is watering the seeds of greatness within you. Those chosen for great purpose often experience battles in areas that seem contradictory to their calling. Joseph dreamed of leadership, yet he was betrayed, enslaved, and imprisoned before he ever saw a throne. David was anointed king as a young shepherd, but he spent years fleeing from Saul, hiding in caves, and living as an outcast before he ever wore a crown. These contradictions are not accidents. They are part of God's process. He allows the very thing that seems to oppose your destiny to be the tool that prepares you for it. When you face unusual opposition, it is often a sign that the very area of attack will one day become the platform of your greatest impact. The chosen often endure isolation as part of their trials. God will separate you from the crowd to develop your character, your faith, and your intimacy with Him. While others may enjoy constant companionship, you may find yourself walking through seasons of loneliness where it seems no one understands. But in those seasons, God is drawing you closer, teaching you to hear His voice above all others, and preparing you to stand strong even when you stand alone. This isolation is not punishment but preparation For those chosen for great purpose must learn to depend more on God's presence than human approval. Another mark of unusual trials is the intensity of spiritual warfare. The chosen face opposition that cannot always be explained in natural terms. You may battle discouragement, confusion, or relentless attacks that come from unexpected directions. These are not ordinary struggles. They are targeted attempts to derail your faith and keep you from your assignment. But the very fact that the opposition is so fierce is evidence that your destiny is significant. The enemy sees the potential God has placed within you and seeks to destroy it before it can fully manifest. Yet every time you endure, every time you rise again after being knocked down, you become more dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Unusual battles also shape compassion and humility within the chosen. When you have suffered deeply, you develop empathy for others in ways that comfort never could. You become more patient, more understanding, more willing to extend grace because you know what it feels like to be broken. This compassion is essential for those called to greater purpose because true influence is not about power or recognition. It is about serving others with a heart shaped by God's love. Through your pain, God softens your heart so that when you step into your calling, you will carry not arrogance, but humility, not pride, but compassion, not selfish ambition, but servant leadership. Preparation through trials also teaches the chosen to value God's presence above everything else. When you have walked through nights of darkness where only His presence sustained you, you learn that nothing in this world can compare to Him. When doors close, when people betray you, when circumstances collapse, His presence becomes your anchor. And this is vital for those chosen for great purpose, because when God elevates you, distractions will increase, responsibilities will multiply, and temptations will arise. Only those who have been trained in the fire to cling to His presence will endure without falling. The chosen emerge from their unusual trials with resilience, faith, and a deep awareness of God's sovereignty. What once would have shaken them now strengthens them. What once would have destroyed them now refines them. Their scars become testimonies, their battles become wisdom, and their survival becomes evidence that God's hand has been upon them all along. This is the paradox of being chosen. The greater the calling, the greater the preparation, and the greater the preparation, the more unusual the trials. To the world, it may seem unfair, but to heaven, it is necessary, because God never entrusts great purpose to those who have not been prepared to carry it. Each battle has meaning. Each trial has purpose, and each tear has been accounted for, because all of it is shaping you into the vessel that can carry the weight of the destiny for which you were chosen. A deep inner that cannot be silenced is one of the most powerful signs that you are chosen for a greater purpose, because it is not something you manufacture or create on your own. It is a holy stirring placed within you by God Himself, a restlessness that lingers no matter what path you take or how much you try to ignore it. You may attempt to pursue other dreams, to follow the expectations of people, or to chase the security of comfort. Yet within your soul there remains a persistent voice that whispers, "You were made for more." This inner calling often begins subtly, with desires and passions that set you apart from others. But over time it becomes an undeniable force that tugs at your heart in every season of life. Those who are chosen cannot escape it, because it is tied to their identity and their destiny, and it remains until they yield to it. This calling is not always glamorous or easily understood. In fact, many who carry it feel a sense of frustration because they cannot quite explain why they feel different. While others seem content with an ordinary life, you may feel restless in routines and unsatisfied with surface-level pursuits. That is because God has placed eternity within your heart and aligned you with a divine assignment that only you can fulfill. It is not pride that makes you feel set apart. It is purpose. This inner calling is heaven's imprint on your soul, and until you align your life with it, there will always be a sense of incompleteness, no matter what achievements or possessions you obtain. One of the marks of this inner calling is the way it survives every season. Even when life tries to silence it through hardship, disappointment, or delay, the calling continues to rise within you. You may try to bury it under business or distract yourself with other pursuits, but it always resurfaces This persistence is evidence that it does not come from you but from God. Human ambition can fade when circumstances change, but a divine calling remains even when everything around you falls apart. The more you resist it, the louder it becomes, until you realize that surrender is the only way to find true peace. A deep inner calling also reveals itself through passion and burden. There are certain needs or issues in the world that move you more than others, certain problems that weigh on your heart in ways they do not weigh on everyone else. This burden is a clue to your calling. For Moses, it was seeing his people oppressed. For Nehemiah, it was hearing that the walls of Jerusalem lay in ruins. For Esther, it was the looming destruction of her people. When God chooses someone for greater purpose, he plants within them a passion and a burden that directs their steps. That passion may make you restless. It may keep you awake at night. It may bring tears when others feel nothing, because it is God's way of drawing you into alignment with your assignment. This inner calling also challenges you to grow beyond your limitations. Often, what God places in your heart feels bigger than what you are capable of accomplishing. You may look at your own resources, abilities, or background and feel inadequate. But that is by design, because a divine calling is never something you can fulfill in your own strength. It forces you to depend on God, to seek His wisdom, to rely on His provision, and to walk by faith instead of sight. That sense of inadequacy you feel is not proof that you are unqualified, but proof that God is drawing you into a partnership with His Spirit. The very thing that seems too big for you is evidence that it comes from Him, because His purposes are always greater than what flesh alone can achieve. Another aspect of this calling is the way it persists, even through failure. You may have stumbled, made mistakes, or taken detours, but the calling remains. Jonah ran in the opposite direction, yet God's call pursued him until he fulfilled it. Peter denied Christ, yet his calling to lead the early church was not revoked. When you are chosen, failure does not cancel your calling. It simply becomes part of your preparation. The deep inner pull toward your purpose survives disappointment, because God's gifts and callings are irrevocable. The enemy may try to convince you that you have disqualified yourself, but the very fact that the calling still stirs within you is proof that God has not changed His mind. This calling often isolates you because not everyone can see what you see or feel what you feel. You may share your dreams and passions with others, only to be met with doubt, misunderstanding, or even ridicule. That is because the calling was not given to them. It was given to you. Do not be surprised if others cannot grasp the weight of what God has placed in your heart. The chosen often feel misunderstood because they are walking with a vision that has not yet been revealed to the world. In those moments of isolation, God is teaching you to trust His voice above human approval and to walk by faith even when no one else affirms your direction. The inner calling is also confirmed by the way God aligns circumstances in your life. You may notice doors opening at just the right time, opportunities appearing unexpectedly, or people being placed in your path who help guide you closer to your purpose. These alignments are not coincidences. They are divine orchestrations pointing you toward your destiny. The Spirit works behind the scenes to connect the inner call with outward opportunities, weaving together the pieces of your life in ways you could never plan on your own. Ultimately, a deep inner calling that cannot be silenced becomes the compass for your life. It directs your decisions, shapes your values, and drives your perseverance. Even when the journey is difficult, the calling keeps you moving forward. It reminds you that your life is not random but intentional, not ordinary but chosen, not aimless but destined. This inner call is the unmistakable sign that you were set apart for something greater, and until you yield to it, you will never feel fully at rest, because your soul was created to fulfill the purpose God has placed within you. Doors closing to redirect you into God's perfect will is one of the clearest signs that you are chosen for a greater purpose, because God will not allow you to remain in places that do not align with His divine assignment for your life. While the flesh interprets closed doors as rejection, delay, or failure, the Spirit reveals them as protection and redirection. When you are marked by heaven, God takes an active role in shaping your journey, and part of that shaping is keeping you from paths that may appear good but are not His best. Many times people pray for God to open doors, but they do not realize that His love is also revealed in the doors He closes. Those chosen for great purpose often experience more closed doors than others, not because they are unworthy, but because their destiny is too precious to be wasted on the wrong opportunities. Closed doors can come in many forms. Sometimes it is the job you were certain would be yours, but slipped away at the last moment. Sometimes it is the relationship you thought would last forever that suddenly ended. Sometimes it is an opportunity that seemed perfect, but crumbled just before you stepped into it. In the moment, the pain of these closed doors feels overwhelming, but later, with hindsight, you begin to see that God was shielding you. He was preventing you from building your life on unstable foundations, protecting you from unseen dangers, and guiding you toward a future far greater than what you could imagine. When you are chosen, closed doors are not rejection. They are redirection toward the place where your calling can flourish. Closed doors refine your trust in God's sovereignty. They teach you to believe that He sees what you cannot see and knows what you cannot know. It is easy to trust God when doors swing wide open, but it takes deeper faith to trust Him when every door seems to slam shut. Yet it is in those very seasons that you learn the power of surrender. You discover that your destiny is not built on your plans but on His. You begin to understand that delay is not defeat and that the hand of God is working in ways beyond your comprehension. Every closed door becomes an invitation to lean into Him, to draw closer, and to rest in the assurance that His ways are higher than yours. Closed doors also strip away distractions. Many people pursue paths that look appealing, but are filled with hidden traps. God in His mercy will shut those doors before you can step into them fully, even if it breaks your heart in the moment. The chosen cannot afford to be entangled in things that would derail their destiny. That is why you may see others succeed in places where you are denied entrance, because their assignment is different. God closes doors for the chosen because He is not preparing them for temporary success, but for eternal impact. What seems like loss is actually preservation, and what seems like a setback is actually preparation for something far greater. Another important truth about closed doors is that they often precede open ones. God rarely closes a door without already having another prepared. The problem is that between the closing of one door and the opening of another lies the hallway of waiting. It is in this hallway that faith is tested, patience is built, and character is refined. The chosen often find themselves in seasons of transition where old doors have closed, but new ones have not yet opened. This season can feel like confusion or stagnation, but it is in fact one of the most critical times of preparation. God uses it to align your heart, sharpen your vision, and prepare you to step confidently through the right door when the time comes. Closed doors also reveal your dependence on God's timing. You may be ready for something in your eyes, but God knows when you are truly prepared. If He were to open certain doors too soon, you might crumble under the weight of responsibility or mishandle the blessing. Closed doors are God's way of ensuring that you are fully equipped for what lies ahead. When you are chosen, your destiny is too significant to be rushed. God would rather have you endure temporary disappointment than allow you to step prematurely into something that could destroy you. His timing is perfect, and every door that remains shut is proof that He is still working to prepare both you and the opportunity for the right moment. Closed doors also protect relationships. Sometimes God would close the door on connections that seem valuable, but would ultimately pull you away from Him. The chosen cannot afford to be entangled with people who are not aligned with their calling. Relationships shape destiny, and God, in His wisdom, will remove people who cannot walk with you into the place He is leading you. This can be painful, but it is also liberating, because when the wrong relationships end, space is created for the right ones to begin. God knows who you need to fulfill your purpose, and He will close doors that tie you to those who are not part of your divine assignment. Closed doors also shape resilience. Every time a door closes, you are faced with the choice to either quit or keep trusting. For those chosen for greater purpose, quitting is not an option because the calling within you compels you to keep moving forward. Closed doors build perseverance, teaching you that destiny is not achieved by convenience, but by consistency. They remind you that your path is not meant to be easy, but it is meant to be fruitful. By enduring the pain of closed doors and continuing to walk in faith, you develop a strength that will sustain you when the doors finally open wide. Perhaps one of the most powerful aspects of closed doors is that they align you with divine direction you could never have found on your own. What you thought was the end of a dream is often the beginning of the true dream God had prepared all along. Closed doors reroute you into places you never would have chosen, but where God's purpose is waiting. They are not evidence that you are forgotten, but proof that you are guided. For those chosen by God, closed doors are not a sign of failure, but a signature of destiny, marking the path toward the greater purpose He has designed for your life. Divine favor and opportunities that set you apart are undeniable signs that you are chosen for a greater purpose, because the hand of God will open doors for you that no amount of human effort could ever unlock. Favor is not something you can earn, manipulate, or achieve through talent alone. It is a supernatural grace that distinguishes you and makes room for you in places where others may be overlooked. When God has chosen you, He goes before you to orchestrate moments that align with your destiny, placing you in the right position, connecting you with the right people, and creating opportunities that showcase His glory rather than your own strength. Divine favor is evidence that heaven has marked your steps, and it becomes a guiding force that leads you into assignments far beyond your natural capacity. One of the characteristics of divine favor is that it works in ways that defy logic. People may look at your qualifications and wonder why you were selected, why you were promoted, or why doors opened for you so quickly when others with more experience or resources were passed over. This is because favor is not about fairness in human terms. It is about the sovereignty of God. He chooses whom He chooses, not based on external measures, but on His divine plan. When you are chosen, His favor will rest on you, and it will draw opportunities into your life that you could never have arranged on your own. This can cause others to question, but it is a reminder that your destiny is not determined by human systems, but by divine orchestration. Divine favor often shows itself in unlikely places. Joseph found favor in Potiphar's house, in prison, and eventually in Pharaoh's palace, even though his journey there was marked by betrayal and suffering. Esther found favor with the king and was positioned to save her people. Daniel found favor in a foreign land and rose to prominence despite opposition. These stories reveal that favor is not limited by location, status, or circumstance. Even in the most difficult seasons, God's favor can lift you, protect you, and position you for influence. When you are chosen, you may find that even in the midst of trials, opportunities emerge that others cannot explain. That is the hand of God making a way where there seems to be no way. Another dimension of favor is that it surrounds you with the right people at the right time. God will place individuals in your path who recognize the calling on your life and are willing to support, guide, or open doors for you. These divine connections are not coincidences, but appointments arranged by the Spirit. You may find yourself meeting someone who provides a breakthrough opportunity, or you may discover that a mentor or leader sees potential in you that you did not see in yourself. These moments are not accidental. They are evidence of God's orchestration. For the chosen, relationships are often divinely aligned because God uses people to help move you into your destiny. Divine favor also protects you from what could destroy you. There are opportunities that may look appealing but are not aligned with your calling, and God's favor will shield you from them by ensuring they do not succeed. While at first this may feel like rejection, it is actually protection. Favor not only opens the right doors, but also closes the wrong ones, ensuring that your steps remain aligned with the greater purpose. This protection can save you from wasted time, harmful relationships, or destructive environments. Those who are chosen often look back and realize that God's favor was at work, even in the no's, preserving them for something better. Favor does not mean a life without opposition. In fact, divine favor often attracts resistance, jealousy, or misunderstanding from others. Joseph's brothers despised him because of the favor on his life. Daniel faced schemes from those jealous of his position. Esther risked her life even as favor elevated her to the palace. Being chosen means that favor will set you apart, and not everyone will celebrate it. But opposition does not cancel favor. It only highlights it. When God's hand is on your life, no amount of opposition can prevent his purposes from unfolding. What the enemy intends for harm, God will use to further position you. Divine favor also accelerates destiny. What would normally take years can happen in a fraction of the time when God's hand is involved. Opportunities appear suddenly. Promotions come unexpectedly. Breakthroughs manifest in ways that surprise even you. This acceleration is not about skipping the process, but about God's ability to move you quickly when the time is right. When you are chosen, you may find seasons where progress happens so rapidly that it can only be explained as the favor of God. These seasons are reminders that while preparation may take time, fulfillment can happen suddenly. Another sign of divine favor is the peace that accompanies it. When God opens a door, it comes with an assurance that settles your spirit. You may feel stretched, you may feel challenged, but you will not feel forced or manipulated. The Spirit gives peace as confirmation that the opportunity is from Him. This peace is essential because not every open door is divine. But when favor is truly from God, it carries the unmistakable mark of His presence. This peace gives you confidence to walk boldly, knowing that you are stepping into what He has ordained. Divine favor is not given for selfish gain, but for kingdom purpose. God does not elevate the chosen merely for their own benefit, but to position them to impact others, to influence nations, to bring glory to His name. Esther's favor was not just for her comfort in the palace. It was for the deliverance of her people. Joseph's favor was not just for his own success. It was for the preservation of nations during famine. Daniel's favor was not just for his promotion. It was for the demonstration of God's wisdom and power in a pagan empire. When you are chosen, favor is entrusted to you as a tool to fulfill your assignment, not as a trophy to display. The chosen learn that favor and opportunity are sacred trusts. They require humility, stewardship, and obedience. The Spirit gives them not to inflate your ego, but to advance His kingdom. This is why those who are chosen must continually surrender, remembering that every opportunity is a gift from God. Divine favor makes room for you, but it is obedience that allows you to remain and flourish. As you walk in humility and dependence on Him, He continues to pour out favor, guiding you into the fullness of the greater purpose for which you created.